We are on.
There we go.
Wow.
Hey, everyone. So, welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm really excited about this. I just want to talk a little bit about how this came about. I met Amanda a few weeks ago. She was out here for a social media conference. Amanda, say hi.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
In fact, actually, why don't we do a round of introductions first?
Yes.
Then we have Blythe, who's on set.
Hi, everybody.
We have the lovely Mariel Hemingway with us.
Hello.
Where are
Nice to
you?
be here. I'm in Omaha.
Oh, no.
Oh, very cool.
I'll tell you about that later.
Yeah.
And then we have Mat McDermott, who's my colleague over at Tree Hugger.
Hey, everyone.
So thank you so much for joining. Yeah, I met Amanda a couple weeks ago and at a social media conference, and she was talking to me about Google Plus, and I at the time, had not been using Google Plus, and she told me I was wrong, and many of the reasons why, and she was correct. And so we're here today to hang out and talk about some fun issues, and thank you so much for joining. So why are you where you are, Mariel? Let's start with that.
Oh my God! Oh, why am I where I am? I thought you meant in my life. I was
Well,
like,
no.
oh, that's a very heavy question.
Isn't it?
No, I am in Omaha because I am here with a machine called the CVAC machine, which is cyclic variable adaptive conditioning, and we are helping some Olympic swimmers at the Olympic trials, and it's been an amazing, fun, exciting, scary, sad week, and ups and downs. It's been really, really, really cool. But we have this CVAC machine, which looks like a space.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Did she freeze?
Is happening.
Oh, good. She's back.
Oh, did I freeze? Uh-oh.
Oh, but you're back. That's good.
I'm back. Anyway, so it's in the back of a rental truck, and we drove it across the country to Omaha from LA, and it's been an adventure.
Are you a swimmer?
What?
Are you a swimmer?
No, not a swimmer. I'm an athlete. I used to be a ski racer when I was a kid, but we met some swimmers. They started doing CVAC, coming to our house, which my partner, Bobby Williams, we have a company called The Willing Way, which is he has the will, I have the way. Yes, it's second, but far more important. And it's a health and wellness business, and we're trying.
Oh.
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 Come back
This is
in
what
a
happens when you drive across country and try to do a Google chat.
Oh.
We'll get her back.
So come back.
The miracle and the scourge of technology.
I know.
It is. I mean, we're really
Pushing the boundaries here.
Okay.
Well, until she comes back, Blythe, I'm sitting here staring at your set, and I have to say I'm extremely jealous because I had so much fun with you when I got to meet Blythe for the first time. Oh, is Mariel back?
Yeah.
Ding.
Hi, Mariel.
if you're back.
Sort of. Not yet. Go on with how you guys met.
Yeah, so I was driving a Volt around California visiting sustainable farms, and luckily enough got to hang out with Blythe for the day and on her set, her raw cooking show, and it was awesome. It's a lot of fun, and I so much look forward to coming back and uncooking things with you.
Let's make raw foods. Let's make lots of raw foods together. Quick and easy, colorful. I know you're on board.
Yes, yes. You should explain the whole kale thing, because that was an eye-opener to me. The
Oh,
massaging.
really? That you have to massage kale? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Massaging kale is really how you eat a kale salad that tastes like it's steamed. You got to put some love into it. You massage the dressing, whatever dressing you use, that you make yourself.
How long do you have to massage it for?
Like a minute. Just
Okay.
like a minute. Some kale's really tough, and like no matter how much you massage it, it doesn't break down, but most kale will like break down nicely.
Oh, okay.
And then you don't have to chop it so small. And even like when you chop it small, it's just not the same as when you massage it.
Huh.
It's so hearty. So good for you. It's so blood building and bone building, skin building.
Do you have a favorite kale recipe?
Yeah, I do. I do olive oil. Like let's say for one bundle of kale, I would do about 3 tablespoons olive oil, 1 tablespoon namashoyu, which is a raw fermented soy sauce. It's fermented soy, otherwise I don't do soy. Then I would do about a tablespoon of organic yellow mustard. Then I would do about 2 teaspoons chili powder and about 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Massage all that, you're going to get like a chili cheese kale dish that's like so hearty. You feel like you ate like some big pasta. It like really satisfies you, yeah.
Okay, that sounds tasty.
Try that.
We'll have to put, you have a, I'm assuming you have that on your site too, right?
I do. It's called spicy kale salad. If you go to blytheraw.com and in the kitchen recipes, you can search it. You can search kale salad and a couple different kale salads will come up.
Okay, well, hey Mariel.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
We keep scaring you away.
I know, right? I think it's Omaha. Nothing against it.
You missed the joys
I'm
of
in a whole. Yeah, I'm in a Whole Foods in their lifestyle section. I snuck in here. They keep looking at me like, "What are you doing out there?"
Oh, really? You're like
I'm like, I'm gonna do a food display. There's a big kitchen area. I told them that I'm teaching in a bit and I'm doing some research.
Very cool. Well, we were just talking about massaging kale, so maybe you could actually do a demonstration for us.
Oh, wow. I'm not even going to touch that.
Sure, they'll appreciate that, Jared. Go downstairs, get some kale.
Yeah. Just take the laptop with you so we can have the experience.
Exactly.
I was reminiscing about being on Blythe's set. I was just there recently, and we had a bunch of fun. And I'm hoping to come back and maybe we should all just go back and cook sometime.
Yes, please.
Nice.
We want to have you. Definitely. When we're back in September, we'll schedule you in for sure.
Awesome. And what are you working on right now, Blythe?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm co-producing a Stan Harrington feature film called Lost Angels. One of my favorite singer-songwriters is the lead, Oliver Piggott. He's from Canada. So, and he's a super good friend of mine, and the director's a good friend of mine, and I put them together. So it's a really fun project. It looks so good. We have such a good DP. Oh, God bless DPs. It's really exciting. Like watching the monitor, it looks so good.
And what?
I'm not the one that does. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Brad just distracted me. And then, of course, we're starting a project, which I'm super excited about, the Stop Monsanto Project, which Mariel, thank you so much for producing it with us. We are really excited about that. How
did that come about?
Because we're terrified of Monsanto, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We're terrified. We think it's Darth Vader.
Actually, that's a really good place to start if we want to start with that. Like, a lot of the people watching are not necessarily into food or the backgrounds like all of you folks in here are. So why don't we start with the very basics of going with that, whoever wants to jump in on it. Tell us about genetically modified foods and so on.
From my point of view, genetically modified foods are foods without information. They're foods that have been stripped of anything that is valuable. So if you get a genetically modified apple, it's an apple that has absolutely no tangible. It's not even that good for you. So even though people are going to a McDonald's and they're getting apples now with their Happy Meal or whatever, they're actually getting. It's still not food. GMO takes all of the nutrients out of the food, and that's what's really horrible about genetically modified food is that it's destroying the bee population. It's doing all kinds of horrible things to our food supply, and people are just not aware of this. Monsanto is out there selling a lot of chemicals to help grow more food faster around the world, but it's killing people, it's killing animals, it's killing insects, it's killing nature. And we're not thinking about the future, and that's what we're trying to do is say, look, we need to slow down here. It's not about volume, it's about quality. And I think that's why, Blythe and Brad and all of us have come together to just say, wait a second, we've all got to just become aware, become conscious that this is not only something that we talk about here in a chat room, but we do something about it. I mean, Bobby, my partner, and I are we're growing our own food. We're trying to help people understand that you can make a difference in your own simple life. But it's also about saying, no, I refuse to buy genetically modified foods. I refuse to grow them. The seeds are genetically modified, so they actually are seeds that are just not healthy, to be quite honest.
Well, I don't even quite remember how Monsanto sort of got the stronghold on this that they did. Do you know, Matt? I mean, like how do they convince people that this is?
Well, first of all, Monsanto is the point of it in public consciousness, but really it goes beyond that. There are a number of companies that are involved throughout the world. Monsanto is, as I said, the face of it in many ways, and for good reason. I mean, they're a gigantic company. They were involved in all things of Agent Orange back in the Vietnam War. That's a basic history of it. I don't have a timeline at my fingertips, unfortunately, Jerry. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I don't remember. All of a sudden this sort of popped up, and it's like
it's been around for a while. Weren't they responsible for the DDT, like in the 60s when it got banned, like in the 70s? I think that they were actually one of the creators. But you're right. It's been a progressive amount of deregulation in the government, and things have been kept so quiet. It's very easy to keep things quiet.
Sure. Yeah. Let's back up for a second, though. Because that's a very impassioned plea for an anti-GMO stance, and I agree with pretty much every word of it. But an important thing to recognize is that genetically modified foods or genetically modified organisms are fundamentally different than regular crop breeding. Humans have been modifying crops and breeding for certain characteristics, including some of the ones that people breed GMOs for, like drought resistance or increased yield, for thousands of years. But there's a fundamental difference because here it's done in a way that these companies can patent. They can control the crops. They can say you can't. Sometimes they make it so the seeds won't reproduce, breaking a fundamental cycle of agriculture that has existed. So for some of these crops, the farmers, you won't be able to save them from the next year, or even if they're viable the next year, it would be like illegal if you didn't buy them again. It's, in addition to all the health things that we've touched upon, one of the biggest things for me is that these companies are controlling agriculture, and much like in media, fewer companies owning more and more. These companies are, Monsanto being the prominent one of them, are controlling the food supply in a way that is very, very dangerous. It's not. And
it's destroying the small farmer.
It is.
That's one of the sad, horrible things about it is that it's big agri now, and the small farmer is being destroyed. Literally, they cannot. You don't become a farmer anymore. And America was built on farms and farmers, and that's what's really, I think, devastating to just us as a culture.
Well, and so it's destroying people's health, because the way the small family farmers relate to the seed and the soil is very different than the way these big monoculture factory farms relate to the seed and soil with all their pesticides and their atrazine and their all that junk that's being put into people, and it is making us sick. The cancer rates are astronomical.
Well, and there's farmers, committing suicide over, the ability to own their own product. It's horrifying.
Does anybody know the story about the Indians that where they came in and they sold those seeds to the Indians? They said, "Oh, you're going to get a much bigger yield. It'll be amazing. Blah blah blah. We'll give them to you for free." And then a whole village of of Eastern Indians, the following year they didn't have any seeds because it doesn't regrow. So they needed seeds again. They said you have to buy the seeds, and they there's mass suicide in a small village.
It's an ongoing problem in India for sure.
There's a movie about that now.
We're talking about cotton here in India. Most of the suicides were growing BT cotton, which is a cotton that's engineered. So it's designed so that you can it can be pest resistant. But the trouble is, this is another issue with GMOs, is that nature finds a way, and the insects are evolving around the resistance. So you end up having to apply more of the pesticide. The pesticide that they use is also Monsanto, so it benefits them nicely. Essentially, this cotton is engineered so you can apply their pesticide and it eliminates certain things and not others. And nature is evolving around it, and it's a growing problems, and they keep having to engineer it over and over again to get around it. We're seeing it. You know, they said it would take a long time, and now it's coming on us right now.
That time is coming. Well, and the whole issue underlying all of it that we're not allowed to label GMO because really they know if you label it, then people won't buy it, and so let's just not label it. So they already know that they're doing something that's not in line with the marketplace.
That's the part that
is this in the USA? Is where they don't, or does some countries allow it and not? I think I read Switzerland.
There's some countries that completely will not allow it in their country.
No.
Yeah.
Europe, no GMOs in Europe, right? Or
not at all.
Labeled, and because it's labeled, nobody wants it, and they can't thrive.
But I think Canada doesn't do anything about it either, right?
Yeah, U.S. and Canada are the only two wealthy nations in the world that don't mandate labeling. India just announced that they're going to mandate labeling beginning next year. All of Europe does. Brazil, Russia, China. Again, U.S. and Canada are the only two major nations that don't. Even though the statistics show that the majority of Americans want labeling.
And I was reading something about how the bill started to get passed to say that it would be in certain states that it would be allowed, and then that was taken back out again because they were worried about a lawsuit from the same company. Is that?
That's sort of the story. Bernie Sanders, Barbara Boxer, and forgive me, a representative from senator from Alaska introduced a bill, an amendment to the Farm Bill, that would have given states the unambiguous right to label GMO crops. That came out of, Bernie Sanders is from Vermont, and recently Vermont had a bill that was going to be put forward that the state would mandate labeling in it, which got defeated or backed down from when Monsanto threatened to sue them. Connecticut had a similar bill that was dropped even more quickly because they didn't even want to deal with it. The Sanders and Boxer and guy from Alaska amendment would have given the states the right to do that. It was roundly defeated. I think the vote was like 20-something to the balance. It was trashed in the Senate.
Well, they're very successful at using fear as a tactic. I mean, they have a lot of power and they're very successful. But really, when it comes down to it, there are much more people. So if we can just help educate the people about what is GMO, how to get it. One thing is non-GMO, like if you Google search non-GMO shopping guide, there's free guides because people are like, how do I know if I'm buying GMO? Well, chances are everything like in normal grocery stores in the middle aisles, like now everything has high fructose corn syrup in it, which is made from highly genetically modified corn. And like it's in like salad dressing, ketchup, mustard, granola bars, crackers, cheese, like stuff that people is not going to do them any good to eat anyway. It's bad for people. But now you can go online, search non-GMO food or non-GMO shopping guides so people can know what companies are GMO. Because if we know we don't buy, that's the solution. That's the solution. What are they going to do when people don't buy it anymore?
Well, and
awareness is everything.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, that's the part that bothers me the most. I mean, I'm anti-GMO, but the part that we can't have that information out there is the most horrifying part. What sort of society is that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's what's wonderful about just getting people together like this is that information. People just need to know. You can't tell anybody what to do, what to eat, how to be, but they give people the power to make their own choices. But we live in a supposedly free country where we're not given the choice to eat what we want, to know what's in our food. That scares me.
Right. Yeah. That's the fundamental thing that needs to be shifted here.
Yeah, I mean, the companies argue that they shouldn't be labeled because they're fundamentally no different than other crops. And that's just not true. I mean, part of it is that the companies won't even, Monsanto in particular, won't really even let that many independent studies be done on it. They're very proprietary about their information. So for a lot of this, it comes down to, well, we've got a lot of indications it's not so good. But we're not even really allowed to do the studies conclusively to say yes or no. Plus, it hasn't been around for that long. So in the mass quantity that it is now, so some of these things may not show up for a long time. It's just an air of precaution that these companies won't even let be put on the table.
Yeah.
Well, they're successful getting. What Jerry?
I was just saying we all want tasty food that's good for us. I mean, that's.
Yeah, who doesn't want that? Come on.
I love to eat. You know?
You know what, though? The GMO food, like Mariel said, it's not as tasty and it's not as good for you. So
It isn't. It's gross.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have to. Here's the other thing. We have to retrain America to have different. All of America, including Canada. We have to retrain people to think differently about food because their taste buds have been damaged by the amount of pesticides, the amount of chemicals, the amount of flavorings and all this stuff, which is unhealthful, that's in their food that has actually tainted the way they taste food.
Yeah.
So it's an education on every level. It's not just one piece. It's a very big, widespread problem, but if we can take it a little bit at a time, I mean, I like to talk to people, when people say to me, what do I do to change my food? And I say, change your breakfast. Because if you change your breakfast, you can change your life. Because the way that you feel after fasting, that's why you're breaking a fast, and what you eat in the morning and how you go out throughout your day, it's just a big shift,
Yeah.
So we have to start small, and we have to allow people to take in bits of information, because I think that when we go out and we say, the world is falling, then people get scared instead of taking it in bite-sized pieces.
Fun. Hey, good fun.
Well, I think, Matt probably is very familiar with that, especially with his beats at Tree Hugger, as far as, covering
right
and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's tough to convince people. But you brought up something that made me want to ask, Mariel. So what do you eat for breakfast?
I usually have a green drink. Thank you, Blythe. I usually have a green smoothie. I'm just saying, I usually do raw. I pretty much do raw in the morning. So I do a green smoothie. I juice myself, and we have kale in our garden, which the doc actually planted for us. So I have a green drink in the morning that I put avocado in and raw honey and all that. So I like to do that for the morning. I'm not vegan, though I was for many, many years, but I believe in eating ethically. So throughout the day, even though I add more food groups, I tend to be very conscious of the food that I eat and eating ethically, whatever that means.
That sounds pretty good. Do you have a recipe for that online, for the avocado smoothie that you're talking about?
I do, actually. I do.
I'm going to put all
and I think it's on my website.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll make Brad put it up very soon.
I'm going to put
Brad, get on that, will you?
Give Mariel's green drink up, Brad.
I have to admit, this is a great conversation because I skip breakfast a lot. And it's one of those things where I wake up and I work at home, so I... Right. And Google Hangout has sort of changed that a little bit, because I used to just work at home in my pajamas, but now I have to put regular clothes on because there's video.
And now you have to put a sunshine shirt on.
I know. Exactly. But
I by the way, didn't know this was on camera until 4 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, that's why I said Blythe had lighting. Always an actress. Sorry, can't help it.
Oh yeah, no.
Amazing. I'm telling you.
But I don't eat breakfast sometimes till 1 in the afternoon, as a result.
And that's, it's a thing that people do. We tend to do that, and that's a societal thing. We rush really fast. We've got kids. We're doing all these things, and you actually think, oh, by skipping, I'm doing myself a favor because it's one less meal. And the truth is, our bodies are designed to sort of graze and go slowly throughout the day, but our society's not designed that way either. It's fast or it's nothing. It's racing, it's skipping, it's I forgot. It's like, my whole thing is like, how can we slow down so that we can actually enjoy our food? I mean, it's one of the things that we were talking about Monsanto, but the whole idea of like more, bigger, better food that tastes bad, it's like, it's just really not where we want to go.
Well, especially when you consider how much food we waste. I mean, do we need more?
Oh.
I mean, we're talking about, 40% of the stuff that we grow here is wasted in America? I'm not sure if that's the correct number. But it's large,
It's a lot.
It's so true.
It costs us money, not just, medical bills as far as how much food we have, but we also have to dispose of all that waste. I mean, it costs money for something that we don't use. It seems so.
Wasted resources all the way from the water when used to farming. I mean, so much waste.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I started eating breakfast earlier as a result of this chat.
You know, one of the things I wanted to touch upon again, and I think Mariel and Matt brought it up before about the bees. I don't think that, like, you know, if people understood that one point of, like, if we did something with the Stop Monsanto film that talked about the bee issue, that would be enough. Because if we, like, there's been like 5 documentaries out about the vanishing of the bees, which is the name of one of them. But that, I mean, bees pollinate every healthy bite that we eat, right? So if bees are vanishing right and left because of a pesticide gene that's inserted into a seed, that they die in these monoculture farms, we are ensuring starvation. Like, we are ensuring
Absolutely. Absolutely. People don't understand. I mean, they have a purpose in the whole food chain that we are, you know, we're absolutely destroying.
It's big.
It's a huge issue that people have no clue. No clue. And I mean, I didn't even know until I researched it. You know, and it's like, wow, because I care. But, you know, there's a massive amount of Americans who are like, whatever. You know, I don't want bees in my yard. You know, like, they'll sting me. I'm allergic, whatever. You know, whatever goes through people's mind, people are not conscious that has something to do with us eating. I mean, we lose bees, and I can't remember what the actual timeline is, but if they, at the rate that we are losing them, you know, we lose all food on this planet.
Yeah.
Okay, that was dramatic, but I don't know because I don't know the exact, but I know that there's some truth in that statement.
You're an actress. We forgive you.
And I'm blonde.
Sorry.
There's a couple of you.
Amanda, sorry, you're a gorgeous blonde and smart.
Thank you. I guess maybe another question. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to say that I think that goes to what we were talking about before about Americans just not even really knowing where their food comes from or the whole system. We, you know, in times past, not too long ago, like when our parents were growing up, or at least my parents, and our grandparents, the agricultural system was different, and people were more close to it. We were more rural. We were, you know, people knew that bees mattered, you know, that their farms mattered.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably always tension between farmers and non-farmers, but I mean, people were more in touch with it. Now we think, you know, an apple comes from the grocery store wrapped in plastic, you know.
Exactly, and if you're Woody Allen, you absolutely do think that. I'm just letting you know that he really doesn't. He does think that food comes from it. That it's actually grown into it. No, I love him. Never mind. But you're absolutely right, because the thing about the way that we used to be, you know, the culture that our parents came from, it was societal, and you ate seasonally because you didn't get everything from around the world. I mean, talk about the carbon footprint that it makes on the world, the fact that we're getting blueberries in the middle of winter from Chile and all these different things. It's like really about the fact that we have to teach people to go to farmers markets, to connect with their community so that they can eat not only a healthier diet, we have to get that information re-entered into society, because it used to be that that's the way that you know, our parents lived and our grandparents. I think I'm as old as your parents, by the way, Matt, but whatever.
No, that's true. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to comment.
He doesn't want to comment then.
I guess maybe coming from another perspective on this, what are some things that I can do tomorrow, the next day, next time I go to the grocery store? What are the immediate steps that I can start changing in my life to deal with some of these issues?
Buy organic.
You know, I think knowing
Buy organic.
Farmer, you know,
Yes.
like
and buying locally,
Yeah.
buying organic, trying to find out if there's a farmer's market in your area. And by the way, 75% of all Americans are within 5 miles of a farmer's market, 5 to 7 miles of a farmer's market, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing that your community, and then when you go to the grocery store, think simple and read labels. You know, like if there's a box and the labels are this, you know, this thick, just pass. You know, like, no,
about it.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
Localharvest.org is a great place, a great resource to find your list.
Exactly.
Localharvest.org.
I think we've sort of trained Americans to read like the calorie part a little bit, but like not below, you know?
No. And the calories are meaningless. You don't even have to think about
calories, fat are meaningless. It's this,
You eat
But it seems, the problem is we have this equation that's really unbalanced. It's like we produce so much food that we don't necessarily use all of. We live in a country where obesity is an epidemic, but we also have food deserts. I mean, we're just so out of whack on, it's like it's teeter-totter and just keeps kind of going back and forth,
And obesity, ironically enough, it can be malnourishment. It's like they're getting all the fats, the salts, and the sugars, and not the bitters and the astringent. Right. Like they're not getting the balance themselves. So it's manifesting at a full scale that we're seeing that sort of imbalance in our culture.
I think Amanda brings up a good point, though. Like what can people do? And I think that's going to your farmer's market and knowing your food, knowing who's giving you your food is, I think, one of the best things. Just having that conversation, you get so much out of it.
Yeah, and download
absolutely
and shopping guide, so you know exactly what brands not to buy.
Yeah.
Exactly, and we were talking online the other day, Blythe and I, about, knowing the labels. A 9 means it's organic, the number is 9. That means it's organic. 8 means that it's GMO. It's just, and 4 just means it's conventional. 4 and 3, I think, are conventional. So just knowing those signs, those are pretty key and nice to know. And sometimes people will say, and here's my thing about, people will say, yeah, but, organic, nice for you. You can buy organic. It's expensive. And my thing is, it's a lot more expensive to get sick. So, and also ask yourself where you're spending your money. How many times are you going to a Starbucks? How many times are you mindlessly buying stuff that you could be using on your food, which is using it on your health? Huge. Huge, huge, huge.
That's what are our priorities? When did feeding ourselves become last?
Yeah.
Like something we don't want to spend money on, we don't want to take time to do. Feeding ourselves first, because that's feeding our mind, too.
It used to be, again, back to what Matt was saying, it used to be part of the ritual of our lives. It was how we were brought up. The family table, the Norman Rockwell painting of, getting around a table and eating dinner with your family used to be a big thing. Now we trained our children to throw things in microwaves, which, by the way, are outlawed in Europe.
Really?
We have just a weird, yes. In Russia, they're outlawed, and in Germany.
Nice.
It's crazy.
We have some, Amanda, have we had any good questions from the crowd there on the event at all?
We had a few people debating what the topic of what genetically modified actually is, what does that actually mean, the actual definition of the word, and whether or not there's nutrients in the food. There was a question about that. A lot of people are just very supportive. It seems to be the main thing. Yeah, I would like to learn more about how to do this properly, or how do I start it, and we've kind of answered some of those things now.
And I'll put those links that you mentioned, like local harvest, I'll put those in the show notes and on the event page, so everyone that's watching, we'll have all that information for you in one location.
Thanks.
I'll put both the massaged kale recipe and that smoothie recipe from Mariel. So.
Awesome.
Matt, do you want to answer that question of what exactly is GMO or GE?
It depends what's spliced into the seeds and how it's engineered. Each instance is different. Sometimes, in the case of salmon, actually, I think, genes from different species or different things are added in. It's a proprietary process of breeding that can be used to bring out certain characteristics. It varies from crop to crop. Some things are for better crop yield. Some things are for drought resistance. Sometimes it's to add a specific vitamin or something. Rather than breeding between two, varieties of tomato or peach or whatever to bring out certain characteristics, as has been done, genes from other things are sort of spliced in. It's a very complicated, specific process that, again, is done, mostly, I think, and I hope I'm not cynical about it, just for profit. In most of these cases, the things that are brought out can't be brought out, could be brought out using traditional crop breeding. It's just you can't end up patenting it as quickly.
Well, I think E. coli is used, right? Don't they splice in things, strands from E. coli sometimes too? I think...
They have used E. coli. I don't actually believe in any food crop. I've seen that used in some biofuel crops and stuff like that, but that would be a form of genetic engineering.
One of the reasons, if I may, why it's one of the ways it's really devastating is if you design a tomato seed that doesn't produce any more tomatoes, so that you demand that the farmer continues to buy your seed every year, which is what's exactly happening, then that's another way that you're ensuring starvation. And that just is so fundamentally wrong, to create a seed that makes a tomato that doesn't make any more seeds, so the food can't reproduce itself.
It's against how nature was designed. That's the thing. We're trying to, my boyfriend likes to say, we think we've become smarter than nature, which is an oxymoron, which means we're smarter than ourselves. We are nature. We're not smarter than nature. And we have to be in tune with nature. That's how we exist, in harmony with nature. We can't keep fighting it and thinking we're smarter. It's like it goes to the environment and how the whole world works. Nature knows what it's doing, and we seem to think I'll be more clever. And it's just so that I can get a bigger yield or more money. And like you said, and maybe it is cynical, but I think it's the truth. I think it is for profit. I think that it is about a bigger yield, but it's seasonal. It's so not thinking about the future of our children.
No,
that's
the scary thing. Creating disease. Yeah, we're seeing disease as a result.
So I think it's important to mention for people that don't know about genetically modified crops, when you go to the supermarket and you're going to the produce aisle, at least in the U.S., you're not really seeing many genetically modified things. In the U.S., in some places there's genetically modified papaya. I think there's some zucchini, although that's pretty rare, and there are some sweet corn that's been approved for sale. Where you're seeing it is in the ingredients. In all the corn that's produced, in the soybean, unless you're buying organic, absent of labeling.
In beets,
assume
in
it's
corn,
genetically modified in the United States.
Yeah.
Because it's the corn and the soybean where the majority of the genetically modified ingredients are.
You're right. It's part of the ingredient list of, the massive ingredient list in your crackers, in your, in your baking things or whatever it is. You're absolutely right. Because it's very cheap for a company to buy those ingredients in bulk. They get them in hordes, and that's what they add to their whatever it is.
We can have an organic versus conventional agriculture debate, and that's a good one to have. Because conventional produce has a bigger impact on the environment because of pesticides and inputs and stuff. But if you're buying peaches versus peaches in the U.S., there isn't a genetically modified peach. It's really, this is what makes the labeling thing so important, is you don't even realize you're eating it because it's in this list of this ingredients.
That's why I say keep it simple. Eat as simple as possible. Blythe couldn't be doing it better because she's like Miss Raw. But, for the rest of us, it's just about how can I just make my meals as, if you see an egg that's an egg, you just keep it as clean and simple as possible. When you get things out of packages, that's when you start, it's a slippery slope. Packages, getting food from fast food places, that's when you're gambling. With your health.
Yeah, and it's the genetically modified corn that's being fed to the meat that people are eating too. That's where there's
the chickens and absolutely.
That actually goes to a common argument for genetically modified crops, that we're going to be improving crop yields for people and providing more food for people. The fact of the matter is I don't have the specific stat off the top of my head, but most of that ends up going into animal feed or something. So you're feeding it to animals first.
That don't actually eat that in nature. It's like those
exactly.
Eat those grains anyway in nature, let alone genetically modified grains.
Well, farm-raised salmon, you brought up salmon. Farm-raised salmon, they're feeding corn and carrots to. Sorry, haven't seen a corn or a carrot in an ocean in many, many a time. So it's like, why?
And how is that affecting?
And then they have to dye the salmon a color because it wasn't out in the ocean, and it's the journey of a salmon going upriver, and back to the ocean that makes it its color, its pink color. So when you farm raise it, then you have to dye it. It's like, really?
I did not know that.
That is so gross.
Right? It's like they have like a color wheel. Let's choose your salmon color.
Now you know what they call the color salmon, right? So.
I think if most people knew where their food was before it was in their grocery store or on their plate, they wouldn't eat it. and that's what's exciting is that we can help to make a film that
give that information.
Like we just want to give you the information. Yeah.
Speaking of people, I think that we should bring a few in and talk to them. What do you think?
Oh, sweet. Fun.
Yeah.
Cool, Amanda. Who do you want to start with? How do you want to do this? I haven't done this before, so I'm not sure how this all works out.
I just invited 2 people. One of them, Larry, is on the suggested user list here on Google Plus under the food category. He's from Trinidad, Tobago, I believe, and he has a different perspective on dealing with fresh foods. He does a cooking show and a hangout just like this. So he should come in a few moments. And Monica is another one who I think I've invited in here, and she had a question too. So
I love Monica. She's great.
Seconds, they should be able to get in, I think.
Yeah. So, we've been talking about really good food. Yeah, guys have any guilty pleasures around food?
Seconds, they should be able to
Guilty
get
pleasures?
I like raw chocolate, but it's not really.
We've been talking about really good food. Yeah, guys have any guilty food?
Seconds, they should be able to get in. Pleasures? Oh, you gotta stop watching the stream, Larry.
Larry.
Oh yeah, he's got to turn the stream on, right?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was watching the show.
So
we getting?
Look at me!
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
No problem. Regarding the sustainable and organic foods, here in Trinidad, well, first of all, as I was telling Amanda, Monsanto is banned from coming into Trinidad and Tobago.
Wait, what's banned?
Monsanto.
Yeah.
From coming into Trinidad, California?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, how did they do that? That's awesome.
I'm on a small island.
Yes, you are.
Population is only 1.3 million. But
wow.
We also, the government has a push on getting everybody involved in growing their own food. They have a program that will teach people how to, grow your food. Their instructions, they have people coming around from the agriculture department. They try to not use pesticides. With the food that they produce. My cousin, who is a farmer, he sells at the farmers market every week, and that's also encouraged. All communities around here have farmers markets, so people go there to buy their fresh produce. Right. They don't rely on the even though the supermarkets down here buy from those farmers.
Oh, right.
So it's fresh. I mean, even if you go to the supermarket, you're going to get fresh food, but buying it directly from the farmers themselves is cheaper.
Yeah, and fresher.
And fresher, right? Exactly. So we have a different sort of thing going on down here. There isn't a big problem as far as the Monsanto problem, which you guys face with every day, and which is terrible. And on my show, I try to educate folks on eating healthy, using fresh products, don't use cans, get it as fresh as possible, and farmers markets, which is I believe perfect. Well,
what's your show? Did you say on your show? What's your show?
Learning to Cook Caribbean with Larry Fanillier.
Oh, that's right, on Google Plus. Okay, cool. Yeah. Very good.
We'll put your link into the show notes too, Larry.
Oh, cool.
Okay, sure.
Hi, Monica.
The important part here, Larry, is what you eat for breakfast.
Yeah. Important. Larry, what are you eating?
Breakfast, I try to eat, well, okay, right now mangoes are in season.
Nice.
That's good.
You pick one off the tree.
Oh, lovely.
That's my mango tree.
So
that's awesome.
I try to get mangoes and papaya, blend that up with bananas.
Nice.
And maybe a celery.
Mm-hmm.
Add some green in there, like what Mariel has suggested.
Mm-hmm.
Green smoothie for breakfast. To start your day with anything green is great.
Yeah, because it gets after a night you've become acidic. I apologize, Amanda.
Right. My grandmother, who lived to be 93, She just passed 3 years ago, and religiously she ate aloes, which is right here.
Oh, beautiful.
I love it.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I want the
Good
Google
for you.
Plus farm tour of your backyard.
Every morning she would take a little bit of aloes and put it in her smoothie, her banana. Well, back when she was small, I mean, there was the advent of blenders and stuff weren't there, but she used to chop everything up in her meal and just eat it just like that. Even though the aloes is bitter, it would, she said it was good for her.
Yeah,
You don't embrace bitter farm.
yeah. Aloe's
I mean,
amazing.
aloe just makes it to my bald head because it gets burned a lot.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good for food.
I haven't actually drank it.
Oh, good. So you didn't make my aloe strawberry banana.
I'm going to. I'm going to start eating breakfast. Now,
His whole life is changing right before our eyes.
it is. I haven't even had breakfast today. I mean, that's how bad it is. I mean, I'm going to go get breakfast after this chat.
Monica, did you have a question that you wanted to ask everybody, or?
Oh, sure. I wondered if you might talk a little bit about gluten-free flours and incorporating them into cooking. And there are a lot of people with food sensitivities, and I'm one of them. And so I wondered if anyone has knowledge on that.
I'll take that off the bat. One thing that you can equal parts separate out in any recipe that has wheat flour is flax meal. Flax meal is just organic raw flax seeds that have been ground up. And if the recipe calls for, a cup and a half of flour, you can put a cup and a half of flax meal in. And oftentimes you can omit the butter then. You can always change the butter out for coconut oil, for a raw organic coconut oil, but oftentimes you can put like half as much or even omit it because the flax meal has oil to it. Oftentimes you can omit the egg too because of the oil and the stickiness from the flax meal. Another great one is almond flour. Almond flour is awesome, and almond flour you can just take raw organic almonds and grind them up yourself to make almond flour, and it's just that easy.
All right, Miss Raw. That's hard.
That's
hard. I'm at the market. You can also buy almond flour, too.
You can buy almond flour.
Yeah.
You can buy almond flour, and there are, she's right. I mean, flax meal is a great alternative to flour, but also I use almond meal. I actually make a cookie called a blisket that is almond meal and coconut oil sweetened with whatever healthy sweetener you like. But there are ways. I actually wrote a cookbook, a gluten-free, sugar-free cookbook that's about eating seasonally. It's called Mariel's Kitchen. And so there's a lot of alternatives, a little bit, I was just kidding you, Blythe. It's just, I find, because I was raising kids, it was hard to make my own almond flour. I tried it for a while. I was like, wow, this is a lot of work. No, I mean, it's fun. But, that's like a whole Sunday. but you can also do rice flour, but some people have a sensitivity to rice and, but brown rice. If you're baking and stuff, doing sweet brown rice flour can be good. But, flours are, you're denaturing a little bit of your food. So if you keep it more of a whole thing, that's why almonds are great and flax meal is great, like Blythe was saying.
Chia is a flour, too. You can get powdered chia seeds now, milled chia seeds that work really well for, like, if you want really moist sort of muffins and stuff like that. It works really well. And Sacha Inchi is a new seed that's coming out into the marketplace. It's like going to be like the new hemp seed, which hemp flour is really good too, and Sacha Inchi flour is really good too.
I use
both of those. You don't have to make them.
I've used black bean flour a lot when I make baked goods. If I want to because it has that innate sweetness to it.
Which one, Jerry?
Black bean.
Black bean. Nice.
Yeah, I use it in my brownies all the time.
Nice.
Wow.
It works really well with anything that has
News
chocolate.
to me.
Nice. Very good.
And black.
Yeah.
Works well.
Good question, Monica. Thank you.
Well, and that kind of steps back too. We've seen definitely an uprising of food allergies. Recently.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think people are much more sensitive now because of what we're doing to the soil, because of the pesticides and all that stuff. Because, as a kid, I wasn't allergic to wheat Like, who had a wheat allergy?
Yeah.
But now there's so many pesticides, hormones, all this stuff in the soil, not even necessarily in the grain itself, that our grains are they've been processed. So I think, this is just theory, but I think that that's why people have so many food sensitivities and not only food sensitivities, they have celiac disease because of these very serious things that we're doing to our food source. Again, it gets back, what are we doing to our food?
Which is why we're making this movie. I mean, right, Mariel? That's like
Absolutely.
why we're making the movie. That's
talk a little bit about that. Like, what's the plan?
What's the plan? So we have an Indiegogo campaign, and we can use all of your help. Everyone that's watching, we would really, really appreciate your help. I mean, anything from $1 to $50,000 if you're feeling it.
You're just feeling that.
If you're feeling it, support us. You can be an executive producer on our project. Indiegogo.com/Stop Monsanto. So Indiegogo, Jerry can put the link up, but it's INDIEGOGO.com. So it's Indiegogo.com/Stop Monsanto. We're making a movie. It's a feature film. It's a narrative. It's not a documentary. It's going to be fun. Cast, crew, ups and downs, twists and turns, humor, and real-life horror. Because you know what? With this topic, we don't have to go too far. We're using the real-life horror stories that have happened. It's sad. Actually,
it's narrative, not documentary. What's the plot? I mean, are we talking?
Yeah, it's about 5 young protesters and their efforts, and it starts out funny and light, and then it just progressively gets into the meat of it.
And the thing, I think the reason why it's fictional is because I think that we're so assaulted with things that are wrong, all the time. And I think that when a story can hit you emotionally and stuff like that, not that real-life docudrama, but it's kind of the land and the world of reality shows, it's kind of nice to give somebody a story, a beginning, a middle, and end, and get you that way, because then we can control how we're going to share the story as well. And we just feel, I mean, me being a filmmaker and actress, it's a nice way to kind of get a story out there, and I think that people will relate to kids having a journey, and because there are a lot of young kids out there now that are raised differently, that have more of a consciousness and awareness. There are some that have none, but there are some kids that are going, hey, I want to do something and speak out, and I think that to see somebody young like getting fired up is awesome, because then it doesn't look like your parents are doing it.
You bring up a really good point, Mariel, too, because here in San Francisco, we have amazing food in San Francisco, and we have amazing farmers near San Francisco, but just right across the bay in Richmond, it's a food desert. And I've gone over there, and I've worked with kids and planted, and we've done stuff, and there's kids there that don't even know what a tomato is. They've never seen one. And it's like,
downtown LA, you'll take those kids, and they've never been to a farm. They've never seen an animal actually roaming somewhere. It really is that idea that all our food comes from a supermarket. So getting children aware, and the internet is such a powerful place now to be able to share a message, because you can choose to watch it. You can choose to be moved. You can choose to turn it off or turn it on. And I think it's a great venue for us to share this story.
As is this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you want me to read this, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay, Brad just handed me something that I'm going to read. That's okay with everyone? It's just a synopsis of the story of our film, Stop Monsanto. #Stop Monsanto. Stop Monsanto is a story of an underachiever who gets involved in protesting against Monsanto to impress his ex-girlfriend. Once the main character and his friends start attending protests and learn more about Monsanto, they become passionately involved in the movement to stop Monsanto. Our hero does manage to impress his girlfriend, but as the protests escalate, he and his girlfriend realize that they are being watched and that their lives are at risk. The concept behind the movie is to educate people about the dangers of Monsanto. Yes, you could learn all about the dangers by spending 5 minutes online, but we're trying to present it in a fun and entertaining way, and and that's what we're doing. So
Awesome.
that's hashtag.
Yeah, so I mean, so this is the ability to educate people about what's going on, but after they've been educated, they're educated after they get entertained, and I think that's really important. I think people take in messages because we're emotional beings, and when you take in a message that way, then all of a sudden you realize that you understand something. You have that education after you've been entertained, so to speak, and moved. I think moving somebody is a huge way to impress them, to make an impression on them.
Well, I personally can't act, but I've always wanted to play the evil guy that gets killed off.
What are you doing?
Hi.
I just naturally look mean. So, like, I'm just going to volunteer now.
Waiting for Mariel.
When we get our script, we'll let you know.
Sing along or whatever, blow me up, I don't care.
Maybe you can like run over by a car or something, so you can like turn and be like.
Yeah, exactly.
He's bound to be an evil guy in there for sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Bobby.
She said hi. I got to take you there. Now you're on.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice
When are
to
you
meet
going to make us something to eat? I'm very hungry.
A green juice. You got a green juice, friend?
Sorry, Bobby has joined our chat. Bobby is my partner. He's also very involved in the whole food, and he would go on and on about chemicals and not chemicals.
I would kill you guys. I would kill you guys with the raw dairy talk.
No. Go.
Okay. You don't mind.
The swimmers are begging. They're begging me to leave. They want to get back in the pool. How long are you guys going to be? Another 15, 20? What?
We're pretty close to wrapping up.
Yeah, wrapping up.
I have to get breakfast.
Yeah, I know. What is it? What are you, in Hawaii or something? We're going to have dinner by the time we're done.
How many? All of these?
I've learned my lesson.
Oh, fantastic. See you guys later. It's a pleasure to meet everybody. All right. We'll see you, raw person.
Jerry, the only food you have in your shot is actually 2 bottles of wine.
If I showed you what's on the floor.
And I hope that's not plastic they're in.
No, definitely not. I write about sustainable wine for tree huggers, so I have wine just all over the place. If I went and opened up that cabinet back there, you would be you might think that I was an alcoholic, but I'm not, I swear.
You're just a professional drinker.
I'm a professional drinker.
Have a lot of parties. Right.
Have a little Irish heritage then, huh?
Yeah.
We all do.
Do you have headphones? You've got a bit of echo coming in, so we need to either turn the volume down on your speakers or put headphones in. And then she was going to talk about, she had a really good question or information about the CA initiative and labeling GMOs. So once you've got the headphones on and plugged in, we'll hear that, and I think we could probably wrap up right after that.
Yeah, definitely.
This is so fun. Amanda, you rock. Thank you so much for helping to this.
This is awesome. I'm glad you guys came and are using this because it's great. It's great to see like the reach of this going onto different platforms. Like there's a huge thing going on Twitter about this right now and all kinds of other places. So
yeah, Amanda, I mean, I think you're brilliant when it comes to this platform. And
thank you guys.
Just round of applause for you. Round of applause.
Okay, geez. Round of applause for all you. Yeah, once you plug in, there's the music.
Hey, Meryl.
And you should be good to go.
Sorry, you guys. I'm interrupting only to say that seriously, he wasn't kidding. The swimmers are like in back of me here, like, can we go? We got to go back in the pool. So I've got to take the swimmers back to the pool. I feel like mom. This has been awesome. You guys are all amazing.
Thank you, Mariel.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Jerry, I'm going to hug a tree. I love you, Blythe. You're amazing. You know, 1,000,000 billion people, and all of you are great. So thank you so much. I got to go.
Thank you. Good swimmers. Wow.
So can we hear Leah now? Because the California Ballot Initiative is a very good place to end this with.
Yeah.
You have to unmute first. Just up there at the very top, there's a little microphone. Just click that once. You should be good to go.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So here's a little information about the California Right to Know. My name is Leah Segedy. I'm Bookyboo on Twitter, and I just started helping them starting Monday, I believe. So what we're doing right now is we are trying to organize bloggers, anybody in social media who's interested in the labeling GMO movement. Now, right now, what's going on is California has an initiative on the November ballot, so it's actually on the ballot. We got the signatures, everything's said and done, and we are trying to educate the public as much as possible about the label GMO movement because we need a yes vote on that proposition. Now, of course, you guys know what happened in Vermont. You know what happened in Connecticut. Now, Monsanto came out and scared them with their attorneys, but in the state of California, the people can bring legislation to the people and pass something. So they can't come in and stop us from doing this. The people can pass this, and they can give it a yes vote, and it becomes law. Now, I can't say that it's not going to go into the courts, you know, but we can get it in as a law, just like with a lot of things that we do. And a lot of things start first in California. Now, I have a little bit of a background. I'm not just a blogger, but I used to work for the state assembly, so I have a little bit more knowledge of, you know, the process and the way it works. But right now, I am just a mom blogger, and I stay at home with my kids, but we need everybody's help. Right now what we're doing is we are creating an evangelist group. That's what we're calling it, the California Right to Know Labeling GMO Blogger Evangelist Group. And anybody can get involved in helping put the message out there and telling everybody what a GMO is and trying to get to all the California voters through social media. And the reason social media is so important is because the opposition is going to put anywhere from $60 to $100 million into the pot to try to shut us up. But they can't do that.
Do you have some information where we can post in the show notes on that?
Yeah, it's on my Twitter feed, and I'm trying to figure out how to do a Google chat. This is my first time.
No worries. We'll get Amanda to get it from you. We'll get everything in there.
Can you guys all follow me at Bookyboo? So it's at BOOKIEBOO on Twitter, and I have a link that I'm going to put up there in just a second, and it's a form that you guys fill out. And so in the background, I'm going to get everybody's information, and I'm organizing everybody to do blogging carnivals, to do Twitter chats, to do all this stuff, because if everybody talks about this, we're going to reach those California voters, and we're going to encourage them to say yes on this proposition because it's not going to cost them any money. I mean, right now we've got all these initiatives that are saying that are going to raise our taxes, and we have to tell the public, first of all, it's not going to raise your taxes. And, you know, the opposition is putting a lot of money into it, trying to scare the senior citizens, trying to scare everybody else. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Out there for you. We'll definitely put the links up there. And
thank you.
Leslie, you are awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we're all about stopping this stuff and eating. So
yeah.
You want to eat good food and massage kale and breakfast and all those things. So
yes.
I just want to say, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today and taking time. You know, Monica, we'll get you some recipes. We'll get you lots and lots and lots of recipes, it sounds like. You will be set.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing this again. Amanda and I will be hosting a few more of these. We have coming up, we have Khalid Cousteau who's going to be joining us and talking to us about water issues. We even have Adam Savage on board to talk to us from Mythbusters, so we have some fun things.
When are you doing the talk on water issues?
What was that?
When are you doing the talk on water issues?
Philippe is on board. We haven't settled on a date yet, but it'll probably be in the next month.
Well.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of do this in the Hangout format where it just works when it works for the person's time and schedule. So, so stay tuned for. We'll have some more things. Circle me and circle Amanda, to stay in touch with this. Follow Blythe and definitely check out her raw cooking channel.
Yeah, thanks guys. Great to use the Hangout and have just a conversation and get some ideas flowing. And like I said, a lot of people on here have no idea about these things, so it's really been helpful to get the word out.
And it's a very thing too that Monica does a really awesome book Hangout that you guys should definitely check out too. So we'll put all the links in the show notes and hopefully see you all soon.
Yep.
Where are the show notes?
Very much.
It'll be on the YouTube page and also on the event page. I'll put everything there.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Blessings. Everybody please support our film, Stop Monsanto. Thank you very much. We
Definitely. Thanks again for joining.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Blessings.